cool.
Women are so fucking cool.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Women Are So Fucking Cool. I am again just so pleased that you're listening and that I have the opportunity to share so many fucking cool women to the world. They're already sharing themselves and other people are sharing them, but we need to spread the word that there are some amazing women doing some amazing things. And in this day and age where we need to find solutions, who's better to help us than Barbara Anne Gardenhire-Mills, who has this show called Purpose Filled Solutions. And I was on that show a little while ago, and it was a lot of fun. It's a show based out of New Jersey where Barbara Ann lives, and I met Barbara Ann on LinkedIn during the pandemic time when we were all looking for new connections that were easy to make, that didn't require us to be face to face with people. So I'm sure all of us have met some amazing women online for various reasons, but LinkedIn has been such a gift to me because I've had an opportunity to meet women who work in all these different fields and have done some amazing things, and to be able to share experiences and skills and support is so valuable, so valuable. And one reason I wanted to bring on Barbara Ann on this podcast, and I'm happy to say that she's starting out launching it with me with another episode, 2 episodes for the launch, if you're watching this after the launch. But I felt like it was a perfect to have a millennial and a Gen Xer on being representative, because intergenerational conversations are so important. But you're going to love listening to what Barbara Ann has to say. And she is a Solutions Navigator, executive leadership business coach, founder, mentor, economic and business community development experience, and expert. I'm reading her LinkedIn bio, her little spiel on LinkedIn. And you can follow her on LinkedIn, and all the other links are also included in her little description in this story. But just really, just so grateful that Barbara and I are becoming friends. So enjoy, and if you'd like this podcast, please let me know with a comment, on a like and a share. And you can also support the podcast by going to Patreon at the Fucking Cool Women Society page, which is called Women Are So Fucking Cool. How about that? All right. Enjoy and have a great day and peace. What does it mean to be a fucking cool woman?
Being a fucking cool woman means having the courage to say the F word. But even more so, it means knowing your worth, being your authentic self, not letting anyone take any more of the power that they've already tried to take from you throughout your life and that you've worked so hard to reclaim. It means not being willing to compromise your integrity or let someone determine what you are capable of doing, and being the one who takes ownership of your own destiny to the greatest extent possible, and not letting anybody tell you otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah. When do you who this just popped in my head. Who do you think inspired you to know your fucking coolness?
In part, it was my mother. My mother, when my parents got married, it was still illegal. I'm biracial, and it was illegal in some states in this country. Yes, I'm that old. And her dad disowned her. I wouldn't even meet him until I was 16. And she had 4 children. I was the oldest at age 7. I had a 5-year-old sister, a 2-year-old brother, and a 7-week-old sister. She was 28 years old, and my dad died in a car-related incident. And so here she was in the 70s, a widow at 28, with 4 children under the age of 7. And she would go on to go back to school, get her nursing degree, get her work herself all the way up to her master's, go back to become an assistant professor at the college where she had started, to get her associates or registered nurse. Um, she would go and she would get into master's swimming. She um, would join the army right before she was too old to join as a nurse. So, when my nephew was born, we used to jokingly say that his grandmother really did wear combat shoes. Now, to get an idea, my mom's 5'3". My mom came from a privileged background that she essentially turned her back on to make the choices that she made. And she uh, signed up to do martial arts. And when she was raising my nephew, my sister really wasn't in a position to do that. She was in her 40s when she did that. And she is a fourth degree black belt at the age of 77 and soon to be 70. Actually, I guess she'll be 28. This her birthday. So her birthday is coming up. So I'm 56, so she will be 78.
Wow.
And still trains. And so she is an incredibly fucking cool woman. Um, she stood up to the church we were raised in when she was a swimmer, and she eventually walked away from that faith, as did I have a faith journey, but not that fundamentalist kind
Right.
of repressive upbringing that I was brought up in. She eventually realized that that just wasn't for her either. Um, she needed the support system until she didn't. She realized it was counterproductive. So kudos to my mom, Marilyn Gardenhire, who retired from the military, retired as a associate nursing professor, and actually is in the process of being appointed as a medical expert to her county in New Jersey, board of it's board of health.
Oh my God. I want to talk to her. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
She's
Wow.
pretty awesome.
Oh, how wonderful. How wonderful.
Yeah.
With the work that you do, how do you navigate having to deal with, the non-FCWs versus, and how do you help, you know, share and be a leader based on this?
It's a great question, and I get to meet so many powerful women. And the work that I do, I've worked in community and economic and business development, housing development, for 32 years. My first, I guess I worked through college, but my first job in community and economic development was to go to work for the city of Bridgeton in 1992. And I was in charge of helping them create a program. And the city of Bridgeton was 45% single female headed households. And it was only a city by concentration of population within square miles, very small part of southern New Jersey. And um, me being curious, I had this political science degree with concentrations in women's studies and thought I was going to be an attorney. Eventually decided that wasn't my thing, but at the time, that's what I was going to do. And I asked the question, hey, if we're trying to get businesses to bid on stuff from the city, why are we advertising in a paper that no one here reads? Uh, Hence my foray into the world that we would know then as affirmative action, which is a bad word now. But I realized that I had a passion, and I knew this. I had a passion for uplifting and being a voice and helping others that didn't have that platform. And I would spend my entire career, even to some extent when was back in corporate, um, being the voice for those who couldn't, with the focus on women and minorities and other marginalized populations. Um, being one that's technically representative of all of the above. I am the walking intersection. I am a female, up and down, but otherwise of size, multiracial, on the LGBTQIA spectrum. Even though I'm married to a man, I'm everybody is a spectrum. I'm on that spectrum. You know, you name it. You know, and it's also one of the reasons why I am so passionate about everyone living into whatever their vision of extraordinary is, because they were individually, depending on what they believe, made or created to be a perfect being. Period. End of story. And along the way, so many people told them otherwise. And so everything that I do, that my company does, is about reminding people and helping people reconnect and reclaim. That's why I don't like the word empower, because empower is external. It means I'm giving you power. No, I'm helping you take back what you had from day one.
I'm so glad you brought up that word empower because back in 2005, this group I was in, we originally said respect, empower, celebrate, because that was just a word back then, right? And then fast forward, I was talking to this woman, Heidi Russell, and she's lives in New York, and but she was telling me, well, you might want to consider the word empower and say encourage instead, just for that same reason that you just said, because I can't empower you. But I want to encourage you, and I love the word that the courage is in it too, because it takes courage. And so I want to encourage your courage and celebrate you and respect you. And if you have the respect, then you'll have more courage. And then you can really, rise up and be your best self. And when you're your best self, we're all our best selves. Yeah.
And, and literally, our overarching vision is to help foster a world where everyone can be, capital BE,
Yep.
their vision of extraordinary and authenticity.
Yep. Yeah. I like that. And one thing I have to remember, we have to remind ourselves, I am a fucking cool woman, but I'm not fucking perfect.
Oh, oh no.
Right. And
Oh, absolutely. Oh, please. And nor would I want to be, because if I was, and it was such a big thing to realize my mother wasn't perfect, because while she was brought up at a time where she thought she had to be,
mm,
I thought she was, at one point it created a standard that I couldn't live up to.
yeah.
So I'm very authentic with my son and his girlfriend, who her mom passed away, and she lives with us and with her dad's blessing, and he comes and visits, and I'm very open about the fact that I am flawed. In fact, we have a mutual friend who actually trademarked the word flossom. Shout out to Michelle Molitor, another
Oh,
effing cool woman.
she is. I know her. She is.
Yes, that's why I said we have a mutual friend, and she came up with that word because she's flawed and awesome. I'm like, yeah, that is so accurate, right? I mean, this has been a week because of some of the work that I did, which your uh, audience heard in the opening, and because I do a lot of work that's government adjacent. Like I said, I've been in and out of government, worked for the government, still government adjacent, coaching clients who are in the government right now, navigating this administration change. And, Wednesday in a group of women, amazing women, shout out to Powerful Women of South Jersey, if you're watching this, where they were dropping the F-bomb here and there. And some people were like, hey, this is about authenticity. And so if we're going to be authentic in this moment, you're going to, the speaker actually said, we're going to let you're going to hear fucking a whole bunch of other words fly out of your mouths. Sorry to the people, religion, in the group who are offended, but I am my authentic self.
Yeah.
And at the heels of that, when we did a gratitude share, I broke down and cried.
Yeah.
I just said, I'm watching 32 years, 33 years of my whole life's work, everything that I've ever stood for from the moment I could speak onwards. I was that kid who was friends with the kid who wouldn't speak, because sometimes I was so different. I was so different.
Yeah.
And so I always sought out the people who were different.
Yeah.
I was the friend who wasn't afraid to hold hands with a brilliant woman who, at the time when we were little and we were taking swim classes at the YMCA, and she only was born with one arm, and I had no problem holding the other arm when we were in the pool. Um, Watching so much of that get undone because by people who live in fear and measurement. Um, it was really tough, and I had that moment where I just kind of publicly lost it. And but the fucking cool women that I was with gave me the space to do that.
Yeah.
And
I,
there's nothing more sad. I mean, look, when I was with the Small Business Administration, in two of my roles, I was specifically the women's business ownership representative. And I oversaw the women's business development centers both in New Jersey as well as in Pennsylvania. And believe me, there are some women out there that are so afraid of losing what they've achieved that they aren't supportive. The key is recognizing that again, that's coming from a place of hurt and measurement instead of possibilities and love.
yeah.
And so groups like Powerful Women in South Jersey and some of the other groups I actively participate in um, are because we all rise together when we come together and support each other, um, as opposed to those that I've seen and or we're even seeing at the highest levels that are willing to compromise their integrity and choose external validation over internally generated love and acceptance. Um, I had a huge epiphany the other night as things are evolving, and I rarely get a chance to like just go and watch videos or memes or anything. And I was watching some things on TikTok because I do some stuff on there. And a couple of videos in a row, the algorithm kept sending me videos where people were saying things like their faith was compromised because they were brought up in a world where they were told to love each other and love our neighbors as ourselves. And probably like the fourth time, this one particular video, the person was actually yelling, "We're supposed to love each other love our neighbors as ourselves." And I stepped back and I went, "We do. We have a world full of people that don't love themselves. So they are loving their neighbors as themselves. So what are we going to do with that?" And it starts with helping people to stop judging and beating up on themselves and seeking externally what can only be found internally, to love themselves so that they are then capable of loving their neighbors as
Yeah.
themselves.
That is a really good aha. That's really true. It really is true. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, well, yeah. Okay. Oh gosh,
Yeah, so,
so much,
so
but it,
when I realized that, I kind of went like, "Oh my gosh." I mean,
yeah,
I've been doing this work for, really over 20
yeah,
years. But I was like, wow.
yeah,
Even though you know it was in that moment when this person
yeah,
was yelling, "Why don't people love
yeah,
each your neighbors?" And I
yeah,
was like, "They do." And it was like
yeah. There's, yeah,
almost like mic drop, boom. It didn't matter what I looked like. I went through things that helped me become who I am. And so I wouldn't undo that. But at the same time, they were things I would never wish on anybody else experiencing, where people did try and take from me, take my power, take the anomaly. What's it like to be with a black girl? It's just horrible, horrible things. Um, Experienced a physical assault on the job kind of stuff,
yeah,
which a lot of people don't know. And I realized that, and one of the reasons why I so firmly do believe in empowering people, and I love the word encouraging too, is because one of my coaching clients actually pointed out, she said, "It sounds like you've spent your whole life getting back up."
oh,
And I said, what other alternative is there? But that's goes back to my mom.
uh-oh,
How many people out there have that person that says, get up,
Yeah.
let me help you up, let me help you stand, let me help you walk so that you can run
Yeah.
in your own way, whatever that looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. Get up. And what I love that you just said, whatever makes you look like, whatever works for you. Yeah. Back to
Mhm.
that choice.
Yeah,
Choice.
yeah, because we are all individuals. We are all unique. And I think
Yeah.
some of the backlash we're seeing now is because good intentions made others feel like they weren't unique. And they felt like they were being dismissed and they were being gaslit.
Yeah.
And they responded. Actually, they reacted. I can't even call it a response because it's not well thought out.
No. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Tell me
So
about a fucking cool woman.
It's so hard to pick. Um, One fucking cool woman that comes to mind, and it's separate from my team, and she's my late best friend. Her name was Catherine Jaggard. Um, I met her when I was 19. She was 33 and or 32. And um, we bonded through trauma. She and I both had violation experiences that we shared that would be handled hopefully very differently now than they were when I was that age, and certainly what happened to her when she was only 10. And she was so amazing. Um, I used to tutor her. She worked at Prudential. She helped me get a job there, and she was working on her associates. And in a marriage that just wasn't that great. And she had an incredible sense of humor. And I used to tutor her in math at her table in her kitchen. And um, she would go on to get not just her associates, but her bachelor's and a master's and another master's, become a doctoral candidate, um, leave insurance, go work in computers, become this tech genius, um, tutored in calculus and differential equations, things I couldn't even do. Oh my God. Um, Left her husband, remarried an amazing man, volunteered everywhere. She used to say things like, it's really good to listen to your critics because they point out your weaknesses and then you know where to go address them.
Yeah.
And she joined Toastmasters. I mean, um, her husband had started to has cognitive issues, and so I ended up having to step in and handle her services when we did not expect to. And when I put the call out, I mean, the science fair that she used to run at Stockton State University, they came and spoke. The Toastmasters came and spoke. Like,
Wow.
she would have been shocked at all the different lives she touched through volunteerism, through the VFW and the American Legion, and um, toy distributions to churches, and knitting things for babies, and serving on the American Heart Association. I mean, at one point, her stepdaughter said, I can't believe this house is such a mess. There's all this stuff to clean out. And her other daughter said, because she was so busy serving everybody else, that didn't matter to her. She was doing important things with her life.
Yeah.
And so this year it'll be 3 years since she's gone. And in April would be her birthday. She was so, talk about a fucking cool woman, and she would have no problem. I'm still struggling pushing that word out. Oh, no, 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 no. She was spiritual. She was a Christian, but she could make a sailor blush.
Yeah.
She, you said something kind of offensive. She took that as a challenge to one up you. She was just
Um,
incredible, incredible. Um, and the other one's my other bestie, who hates whenever I say how long we've been friends because I don't have a problem owning my age. But there are women out there that do. I'm like, hey, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm studying to get my third degree black belt. I survived long COVID, all these other things. I'm gonna own my age.
Yeah.
So I won't dime her out. We're only 2 years age difference, but man, talk about another fucking cool woman. One of the few women in facilities, operations, and management in this country to hold the level job she holds. The University of Richmond, she has 450 people report to her in a job that is 68% female pay disparity
Wow.
and even lower percentage of women even in that industry.
Oh, wow. That is
She,
powerful.
she is something else and incredible, incredible woman um, who actually, when she was in her late teens, managed the retail at one of Trump's casinos in Atlantic City. And
Wow.
when she was still in college as a teenager, she oversaw the retail operations. And you know, as her as she has moved and shaped, people refer to, if they could get her to come there, it would literally, they say it would be such a cool to have Maria Cassidy come here. Oh my gosh, because of her reputation, and she um, put in criteria in different places and diversified leadership and mentored young women. And she's a past president of Women in Facilities Management, encouraging more and more women to move up into those higher level roles that are so often dominated by men. Like a woman doesn't know engineering or construction
Right.
or oversight of those things. So yeah, I am blessed with to I having had in my life, in addition to all the other amazing women, including the 4 out of 5 team members that I have that are female, to have traveled my journey with those two women.
That's so great. Yeah.
Talk about a blessing. Everything is about yin yang and being in tune with the earth and health and wellness and inside and outside and mindset and so that includes the environment, our surroundings, what we put in ourselves.
Yeah.
um, and so yeah, kudos to her. Actually, Kathy, yeah, she definitely was very empathic. She For the many years she framed her existence as being a witch. Um, and and anytime anybody would question it, she would double down. But you're right. Um, Women have been persecuted for doing things that were in the best interest of humanity because people didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And so, what better way than to control women than to label it as something evil and to be feared,
Yeah.
when they were really gifts,
Oh.
to, whether you see it as divine or whatever, they were gifts.
Oh, yeah.
And as someone who is very empathic and who was raised to believe that things that I could do were me engaging in some level of satanic practice or witchcraft, um, Kathy, I mentioned earlier, was a huge part of helping me realize, no, they're actually gifts
Yeah.
that my turns out my whole family has
Of course.
on my
Yeah.
mother's side because I'm quarter Irish. It's passed down.
Yeah. As we can say, knowing FCWs really help not only love ourselves, but we love our earth and we love each other. It's really, you're bringing that it's love. And ultimately, it all goes back to love and love, love, love. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. Well, I have enjoyed this conversation and
me
I look
too.
forward to talking to you more in future times. But is there anything, one last message you want to give to, somebody listening to this, whether they're a woman, girl, man, woman, child, person?
If you are struggling with finding your purpose, I mean, Joanna is a suite of things she can do too. But uh, my company, we use coaching and training and to help individuals and leaders and executives and teams navigate opportunities and obstacles to become their vision of extraordinary. And so, um, whether it's want to learn more about positive intelligence, which I didn't even get into, but it's a huge part of it's infused in everything that our company does, or just kind of explore what the possibilities are. Feel free to reach out to me, book a complimentary appointment, um, and talk about how we might be able to help you live into your fucking cool womanness, or just, you know what, or your fucking cool humanness.
Yeah, totally. I love that.
Women are so fucking cool.